Jen with Pure Bliss Artisan Soap. Today we're going to make superhero soap. They're kind of fun for the kids, for men and women. So if you'd like to watch me, take a tour. Okay, so we're going to start out with our oils. Whatever oil blend you want to choose. I go to brambleberry.com and go to the lye calculator, and you go ahead and fill out whatever oils that you want to put in here. And it's super fat at 5%, and it tells you how much liquid and then how much lye to mix together. So I'm going to introduce my lye, and I'm gonna put it through a strainer so all the little icky stuff goes out of there. And then here is where either I add grapefruit seed extract or titanium dioxide. This time, because I don't want my colors to fade, I want them to be vibrant, I'm going to use grapefruit seed extract. And all you need is a little bit, like a capful. That's a natural preservative. And then you're going to take your stick blender and you're going to kind of get the bubbles out. I like to bring it to a light trace so I have more time to work with my soap, with the colorant and the fragrances that I'm going to add. And how you know it's traced or saponified, it comes to a pudding consistency, and we are there. So now what I'm going to do is pour some off into another container. I like to sit my blender in a container so it doesn't get all over the counter. And this I'm just going to put a very small amount, because I want most of my soap to be black. And then we're going to take the mica colorant from Nurture Soap Supply, a red vibrance, and I mixed it with TBK Trading Red number 30 because it comes out the best. It gives it the most vibrant color. So I'm going to go ahead and stir it. It's coming to the color that we want it. Now what I like to do is take the blender and just blend it once, just to make sure everything's incorporated. We're not going to have any cream colored soap in there. Now we're going to set this aside for a few seconds. We're going to come to the black. I've used Nurture Soap Supply Black Pearl Mica. Gives it a real pretty opalescent shimmer. And here we're going to just mix this in. In fact, I'm going to use a spatula. Helps it mix in a little bit better. And here it's not getting quite as black, so then we're going to add a little bit more of our mica. Whoops, that was a big whoopsie. I'm gonna fish a little bit of that out. It's way too much. Sometimes that happens. That's why you want to pre-measure and pre-mix your micas before putting them into your soap, because you don't want to end up putting way too much, like I did, in. So we're going to go ahead and incorporate this into the oils, and then we'll mix that up with our mixer. I like to incorporate as much by hand as I possibly can. That way it doesn't saponify too fast, giving us a little bit more time to work with. Today's a rather warm day, so that saponifies a little quickly on warmer days. So I'll go ahead and mix this. I like to scrape off as much as I possibly can. That way we have very little waste. And it's okay if you go, when you're mixing your soaps or your colors, that you go from a red to a black, because it's all going to turn black anyway. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put our fragrance oil in each one. I'm going to put just a little dab in here, and a bigger dab in here. It's nice and stirred. I'm going to go ahead and take our spoon and incorporate all of our fragrance into the red. What I've used as far as fragrance is it's a cherry fragrance, and I mixed it with Juicy Apricot from Nurture Soaps. I absolutely love that scent. It's just a happy scent. So mixing it with the cherry just makes it real bright and happy. Okay, now it's time to grab our mold, which is a 5-pound slab. I've added extra oils, and there's going to be more soap, so I'm going to have an extra pound left over, and I like to do that. That way I could try it out for my family as well, and the kids could have something fun while they're in the bath. So I'm going to pour this out so you can see. Let's just spoon a little bit. You should probably use tape or something to keep it even along the sides, but I didn't today. So I'm gonna go ahead kind of incorporate this down. And then I'm going to spoon this in. Some little dollops of red. And we'll go ahead and pour more of our black in, going over each section. I'm doing this all just however it comes out. Now we're going to plan on how we're going to put this one together. And we'll do a thicker layer of red here. I go and get spoons from the Goodwill and clean them really well. That way I can use them with soap and I don't feel as bad ruining spoons because they're really not being ruined. Someone got rid of them anyways. I don't use my own from my kitchen. And these are just for soap making. So it's kind of nice utilizing, reusing things. So you're not having a lot of waste throwing things away. I like to be able to utilize things. That's getting real thick. So we want to work with this quickly. Usually it doesn't saponify as quickly as it is today. And I'll do one more red and then we'll move on to our smaller mold. Putting the lasts of the red in here. And what I'm gonna do, whoops, I got some on the counter here. So what I'm gonna do is get some of the bubbles out. I like to make a pretty even soap. So I'm going to go ahead and swirl it because it's saponifying so quickly. Just to incorporate everything in. It's got some pretty neat swirls there. Let's get that all incorporated. Now we're going to go through it. A figure 8, and this gives a really nice look to it, to the soap. And what I used there was a skewer for marshmallows. And this is the last. Got all the air bubbles out, and then what I like to do is I like to stick it into the oven so it will come to the gel phase and go a slower process, so we don't have the little brown ring in the center, so it'll come out nice and even. So I'm going to go put this in the oven. I usually keep the soap in the oven overnight and then I'll pull it out and let it sit out to just keep saponifying and coming to room temperature at a slower rate. And then this is my 1 pound mold that I like to use. I do a lot of test fragrancing in this 1 pound mold, a lot of test batches of soap to see if certain oils will mesh together or how those soaps will come together, if that has a nice smell, all different sorts of things. You could do all different kinds of things. Just get creative. Anything in your kitchen you could pretty much utilize to make a design. We'll go ahead and scrape this. And what I do is I don't clean them off right away. I let them saponify on the utensils in the buckets, and then about 2 days later I will clean them out because you don't want soap to saponify in your pipes. We've had that happen before and it is no fun. So you let it come more to a saponification so it doesn't saponify in your pipes, because that is a big icky mess. And I try to scrape as much as I possibly can so there's not as much left over. on this one. It's not going to be that big. These are fun little bars for the kids to take in the bathtub or to wash their hands if you have a kid's bathroom. I'm going to take my skewer again and just swirl it because there wasn't a whole lot of red left. So it'll give a nice fun design for the top. So I named this soap Evening Maiden. It's a part of my superhero series. So if you could figure out what Evening Maiden is, you could drop it a line at the bottom of the description box. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna also put this in the oven and we will come back tomorrow for cutting. Here is the Evening Maiden soap we're getting ready to cut. It smells like juicy pear and apricot, and we colored it with red and black. And then I'm going to start off by cutting a little slice off the top. I have each one of these measured out. I have my measurements where they're about 1 inch thick. This one I think we let cure too long. There we go. So that's the color that it came out. And they come out to be about 4 to 5 ounces depending on how dense the soap is itself. These are coming out nice and it's got a wonderful smell. It's got an interesting look on the inside. When I was bringing this together, the fragrances kind of made it saponify quicker and thicken up quicker than I was hoping for. I was hoping that I would have a little bit more time to work with it, so I wasn't able to swirl as much as I would have liked to. So, but with each soap, it's unique and comes out differently, and a lot of it does depend on your fragrances. Your fragrances will speed up the process, and some of them will just not do anything. It'll just keep, you know, the flow going as if you were not to fragrance it at all. So you just got to learn to work with your fragrances and know, you know, jot it down on paper what fragrances tend to speed up and thicken your soap quicker. So then you kind of know what amount of time you're going to have. So then that way you can plan for your design. And again, I stick these in the oven so they go through the gel phase a little bit slower, and then they come completely out of gel phase. And gel phase is where you get that little brown ring in the center of your soap, and it never quite leaves it, and that's why you have the brown ring. So I found that putting it in the oven helps it to go a little bit slower through that phase and then completely come out of that phase. That way you're not left with that big brown ring. So all of these are pretty unique. This last one looks really neat. I'll show you the side here. That one's especially neat, I think. And then here's my sample bar. I cut those up for samples when we go to shows. And that's it. So stay tuned for the next making and cutting of the Hulk.